Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dami. If you are seeing my face for the very first time, I am a Nigerian based in Brisbane, Australia. I film about lifestyle in Australia as a family of 4 and what it is like living here, and from time to time I also put out videos on migration tips to Australia, basically things we did to get here and things that are publicly available. Also, that's what I put out on. But also to just say for the 100th time, I am not a migration consultant. I cannot put your papers together for you. I cannot give you professional advice. I can only advise based on what is publicly available. And then, yeah, of course you need to do your own personal research as well to ensure that whatever you've heard or whatever I've said is what works for you. Like, you have to, your own personal judgment would be involved. Anyway, with that said, if at any point you think you need a professional advice, or yeah, please do well to seek one where you would find. But yeah, let's get into today's video. So today's video is just a follow-up on several other videos I've done in the past. So if you've been following my channel for a while now, you know that I migrated to Australia through the TSS 482 visa, which is a temporary skill shortage visa. So we came on this visa, and how we got this visa is because we're able to get a job. I secured a job back in Nigeria, and the employer who I got the job with was willing to sponsor myself and my family. So, but I've seen a lot of questions to say, oh, how do I get the job? I've gone ahead, I've done a video how I searched for the job. I've tried to put out different vacancies, but there's still like some other important facts you need to know if this is something you want to explore, because at the end of the day it is not for everybody. So today's video is basically things you must know to get a job in Australia with the TSS 482 visa. If this is something that interests you and you want to know more about, keep watching. So yeah, the very first thing I'm going to say is, of course, you want to come on this visa. The first thing that sells you to this employer is your CV. So your CV needs to be properly done, and it doesn't have to be overly edited or professional. There is no standard CV. There is no, I won't say there's no standard CV. There are standard format, like the ways you can present things here and there, but I won't say that I've never heard of it. I don't know if it exists, but I've never heard of it to say these are the type of CV that will give you the job. Your CV is meant to sell you. It's meant to speak for you where you are not. Ensure that the important things are in your CV. I've done a detailed video of how to prepare your CV and the type of things a prospective employer wants to see in your CV. I'll try and link the video up here, and if I forget, it will be in the description box. So yeah, so I've done a detailed video. You have to sell yourself through your CV. So just put all the important things, what the employer is looking for, ensure it's in your CV. Just put yourself, like your CV is going to sell you. So I recently heard a recruiter saying they've received about 1,200 CVs and they had to filter for just 30. So with that mindset, you're like, oh, I'm submitting this CV and somebody's going to, what are you going to put in your CV that immediately someone sees it? I'm like, oh, this is the person I need. You know what I mean? So anyways, your CV sells you. Make sure you put all the important things a prospective employer would want to see. Put yourself in the shoes of the employer. What will you be willing to see in someone's CV you want to hire? Your school, like the summary of education. I've done a detailed CV. Don't let me even get into that. So yeah, your CV is your number one selling point. Make sure it is detailed, but at the same time not too lengthy that they'll be uninterested and stop reviewing it. So yeah, so that's number one point. The number two is rejection. Oh my goodness, Lord. If I get $1 for every time I hear people say, oh, I've been applying, no response, I've been applying, I don't know if I'm able to, I'll include a clip of my email to just show you the trail of rejections I got. I think I started this process sometime maybe February 2019 was when the thought popped into my head to say, oh, I want to start, like I want to relocate. And I applied, but I gave myself a target to say, I can't remember like accurately now, but something in this line was, oh, every day I must apply for 7 jobs. So I would apply for 7. So imagine every day in a month you're applying for 7 jobs, and at the end of the day you got just 1. So you can tell how many I applied for, how many rejection I got before I eventually got this one that brought me here. And the interesting thing is you only need just that one yes. That one yes that will change the whole story. Please hang in there, keep applying. The no's are part of the process. Yes, trust me, the no's are part of the process. You need them. Don't worry, that yes will come through eventually, slowly but surely. And then another question I got recently, let me just include it here, is someone said, oh, I got an offer from a company and we're in the visa process. Or there was something about that, like she was still maybe interview stage and maybe final interview or visa stage. One of those 2 is, and I'm like, should she stop applying? Nope, until you get a visa. Don't stop applying. I, for one, had a personal experience where I got an offer from an employer. It was an oral offer to say, oh, we've offered you the job, this is your pay. And I remember like all these things happened, and then they called me later to say, hey Dami, we are sorry. They sent me a mail actually and said, hey Dami, we are sorry, we've filled up our quota for this year. Can we reach out to you December 2019? This was sometimes in April 2019. Can we reach out to you December 2019 for you to fill up the space? I'm like, okay. But like luckily that was not the only place I applied to. Like I said, I applied to a lot, so I had the option to say, these people have disappointed me, I can go to the this. What I told the person who emailed me is, wife and fiancé no be the same thing. They seem close, but they no be the same thing. So if you are still fiancé, my sister, my brother, keep applying until you become that wife. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's that one about rejection and the whole process. The number 3 thing is skills assessment. I've had a lot of people reaching out to say, oh, do I need a skill assessment? Do I need to do WES? So WES is for Canada. There's no WES in Australia. Let me clear that out. 1. 2, what they do here, I'm saying what is done in Australia is skills assessment. You need to do your skills assessment. I will film a separate video detailing the process, requirements, cost and timeline of skills assessment. Hopefully it will come shortly after this video. But there are just a few jobs in Australia that require skills assessment for a visa for it. So please note that if you're going for permanent residency through the skilled migration route, you need skills assessments regardless. But for TSS 482 visa, this temporary skills shortage visa, you do not all occupations require the skills assessment to be done. I would include a link for those occupations that requires. So there's a separate act or legislation for jobs that require skills assessment. So I personally am an auditor. I did not need a skills assessment done when I came in. You know what I mean? So, and quite a lot of other jobs do not require skills assessments. But the jobs I feel need skills assessment the most is all those trade jobs, like vocational kind of jobs. I think most of them will need skill assessment. Whereas there are some other jobs like any health related. So for medical practitioners, you must have qualifications recognized by relevant Australian authority. So that caveat is for medical practitioners. Also, those other jobs I will link in my description box that need skill assessment. But for accountants, auditors, you do not need skills assessments if you're coming on a temporary skill shortage visa, the medium term one. That one I know for sure. So basically those are like the first 3 things you need to know. So I've said about the CV. Your CV tells you, make sure you have the right CV put together. Rejection is part of the process. Skills assessment is not required for all job types. And then again, I've heard just whilst talking about skill assessment, I've also recently heard that people are able to do skills assessment regardless of, it's part of you selling yourself in your CV as well, regardless if it's required or not. People do the skills assessment. It will cost you some money, but at the end of the day, if you get a job, it will be worth the investment. So people get the skills assessment done for their occupation and include it in their CV. So it's part of selling yourself. And like, of course, when an employer sees this person, this CV, and say, oh, I have my skills assessment done, and I am fit and able to work in an Australian company for this particular occupation. So they'll be like, oh, this person is serious, you know what you're doing, you know what I mean? So having your skills assessment in your CV is an added advantage, but not required for this type of visa. You know what I mean? So just go through the requirements for this visa so you know what you're working with and what you need, like the basic requirements from the Home Affairs for this visa. First thing is you must be nominated by your employer. Of course, your employer is sponsoring you, you must be nominated. The second one is you must have the necessary skills, and with the necessary skills, the proof is 2 years of experience for that particular job. So you require 2 years experience. You need to prove that you have that experience, and most times what they require is letter from your previous employer. You must meet the health and character requirement, and then lastly, you must, the only challenge with this visa is you can only work for that employer. So this visa is between, you can work, for mine it was 3 years, so it's between 3 to 4 years to 5 years. I've seen people who have 4 years visa on the same visa, so it depends. So but you are tied, like the visa condition is you must work for the employer. You are able to transfer, but it must be within the same, like there's a cap, there's just a clause to it, which is not so hard, but you are only able to work for that employer. You cannot have side hustle. Let me explain it that way. You can't have side hustle, you can only work for that employer, but you can change your jobs in within the same field, like, you understand, and then you transfer your sponsorship to the next employer. So those are the main things you need. You need 2 years experience, just 2 years experience. You need to have the required skills. Some occupation will require you to have a skills assessment, and then you have to be nominated, of course, by an Australian employer. So those are the main things you need to know to apply for a TSS 482 visa. Another tip, let me just drop, if you have watched to this point, let me drop this tip for you. I will include a link in the description box for accredited sponsors. So in that link, you will see the companies that are non-accredited sponsors are able to get you a visa, right? But then again, for those accredited sponsors, it is faster and easier. So if you can go to those accredited sponsors, if any of them is in your field or something that interests you, go to their company website. Try to, aside from applying in Seek, Indeed, and Jora and all those other interesting sites, go to this accredited sponsors company website, check if they have vacancy, and because they're already accredited, it's easy for them to sponsor you. So it's a lot of companies that are already accredited. I will drop the link in the description box. That's your giveaway for watching up to this point. Also, another tip is reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. There are a lot of recruiters in Australia recruiting from overseas. Reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. Finally, Australia has a skilled occupation list, but at the moment the department is prioritizing applications on the priority migration skilled occupation list. So there's a skilled occupation list, but at the top of it at the moment there's a priority migration skilled occupation list, PMSO. Go and check if your occupation is on that list. Please start applying for jobs. Now is your time to shine. See, I put something up on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, please follow me, because when I see news like that, I post it immediately on Instagram. Today, as at today is 23rd of June, there is 400,000 vacancies, job vacancies in Australia. So my dear brother and sisters, make sure you key into it, apply, and I wish you all the best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.